I just decided to go and come up with an acronym because we live with acronyms, right? So PTCD, what is that? And we're just going to talk about how to reduce COVID-induced stress and trauma, because there really is stress and trauma, and there really is PTSD, and we deal with it. Some of us actually are dealing with it right now, but that's not the one we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, we're now kind of secondary experiencing the COVID dilemma that started last year. Now we're going to just discuss some of the ways that we can kind of pull through where we are right now. So what is PTCD? Post-traumatic COVID drama. What is that? It's what you're dealing with right now. It was trauma last year. We dealt with a ton of it, and we actually, there's a lot of evidence that is scientific based to suggest that there really is post-traumatic stress disorder as a direct result of what happened last year. So much stress, so much problems for a lot of people. But we're going to talk about just the side of it that made it bigger than it was. And that's the drama part of it, not the true stress disorder. Okay. So what can you do to help yourself in 2021 with this experience that you might have? And what secret weapon in your essential oils can completely change this disorder or this drama?
Secret weapon?
Yeah, we got a whole stash.
I knew
of
the
secret
oils
weapons.
were cool, but I didn't know there was a secret weapon in there.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
We've got plenty of them. We're going to go back again, Mark. That's too soon. Now you know the big reveal.
Oh.
He ruined the big reveal. So first,
spoiler alert.
We're going to talk about some things that we've been working on. So one of the groups that we work with is called Save Somebody, BUDDY, and it's a group that works directly with veterans of war and also children and other adults as well who deal with post-traumatic or just trauma. We're just going to talk about trauma. In the case of veterans, a lot of times it's post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I just coined this phrase off of that, not as a joke, but rather as the seriousness of what we're dealing with here. So some of the things that we've learned are really, really simple techniques, and you may have done them before, but they're extremely effective in pulling someone immediately away from the effects of some kind of a trauma or traumatic situation so they can get a reality grip. Now, we've talked about how essential oils can help that. And now tonight we're going to talk for a minute, and I'm actually going to have Mark talk about this. But Anastasia Najarian, who is a dear friend of ours and is working right now on her doctorate and has been with Oxford and a number of really important places across the globe to make certain that what we're saying right now is effective. And we are, she's got, like I said, this group that she works with. It's a company and an idea surrounding simple techniques that people can use on a daily basis to really up their response to stress in their lives, so it doesn't become too overloadingly stressful for any of us. So Mark's going to talk about a simple technique that is used commonly in this practice to remove those levels of stress hormones back to more normal levels, so you can talk with people who are kind of out of balance and overstressed and feeling like they can't deal with the world.
Here's one other really, thank you. One other really interesting thing that I've learned in working with this group. There's a lot of brain science that has gone into the program that they put together. Really, really renowned psychologists, psychiatrists, brain science people, and they're finding two really important things. One is that when you're talking about trauma is, and stress, I mean, it's nice to reduce it so that you have a happier life, right? In the moment. Yeah. But what they're finding is that trauma is related directly to things that happen further down the road, like depression, like suicide issues, those kinds of things. they're finding that they can trace those directly back to some kind of a trauma.
Yeah, and it kind of layers. And by the
Yeah.
time you get to the fourth layer, that's when it becomes really, really critical.
And then the other thing that they're finding is that they're tracing it back to physical issues. So there's a lot of really great research right now that's going on about trauma-induced issues that come up later on in life, heart conditions and diabetes and those kinds of things are traceable back to trauma.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
those stressful hormone releases
Right,
and
yeah.
what happens in the body.
So
physiologically.
dealing with trauma is really important, not just to make our lives happier right now, but for all of these downstream effects. So one of the techniques, there are 3 techniques that Save Somebody is using. One of them is very, very simple, and I'm not going to show you the whole technique, but it's a tapping technique. And it looks really simple. You know, you teach people to tap on specific places on your body and in a specific pattern, and it has been proven to dramatically reduce stress and the effects of trauma by doing this particular tapping technique on a consistent basis. And when I first saw it, I thought, really? I mean, that's just like, you're just tapping. What's going on there? But there's a lot of neuroscience that goes into it, and it also helps us to center and to be present. A lot of stress is either related to worrying about what happened and regretting what already happened, or stressing about what could happen in the future. And if we can center and if we can stay present, then those stress levels come way down.
So Mark, I would like you to just show, because tapping isn't only this group. Tapping's been known for a long time to be really effective throughout the psychological community. So would you just show some of the technique itself? Just, you can use a 2 finger or 1 finger.
I use 1 finger, and it's tapping on the forehead. About actually, you start with three cleansing breaths.
So you're going to breathe.
So you're going to breathe, deep breaths, and then breathe out. 3 of those, and that actually kind of helps to reset the autonomic nervous system.
So you're not fight, flight, or freeze. You're more present there.
And then you do tapping, 3 to 5 taps on the forehead. This is the simple one, and then on the chest.
And that's all the more simple. We're going to only go that far. You know, that the rest is kind of their specific way that they utilize this within their program. But anyone can do this. And this is very well known. And you can even add an affirmation, you know, while you're doing it. If you want to do a 2 tap, you don't have to just do 5 taps. But that's, you know, you can tap it faster or slower. It's just a preference at that point. But, you know, you're tapping in places that actually activate hormones to register and change what's happening in your body. It's really awesome.
It's pretty amazing.
And so you can utilize that, and, you know, you can breathe while you're doing it too. And you can even add an affirmation of your choice. You know, I feel great. I'm relaxed. Something like that. You can do that, and the body will start to respond to that, what you're saying, instead of what you may have previously felt. And if you even want to do something more interesting, if you're already like this and you're frowning, you can even, you know, if you don't want to say anything, you can put a pen or a pencil in your mouth like that, and do this, and do this. Because the body can't tell the difference about a fake smile and a real smile. And so if you're feeling down, then you can change up fake. You can fake it. You can fake it. And you can do this and this and breathe. Help yourself out. And that's a really simple technique you can use anytime to change that pattern in your mind and in your body and get the response to the hormones that you want, that we're looking for during these really difficult times, and get really centered. And then remember, you can have people that you talk with and help you out, and you help out normally to talk to. It's super important to talk these things through and have them be a part of your team while you're dealing with.
We have kind of a code now. If Cynthia comes in, like if I'm in my office or whatever, and she'll look at me and she'll go, you need a pencil. Like, oh yeah, because I'm doing this, you know. So I'll grab a pencil and I'll stick it in my mouth.
Yeah.
Get those hormones going the right direction.
But we can all get into that. It's pretty simple. You know, we just get so concentrated and finally we find ourselves like not breathing and we're all, you know, kind of centered down. And so, you know, get some good feelings going in the body and then you can change everything. Okay. And this isn't supposed to be the one now. Can you go to the next one? See if it's, oh, there we go. Okay. It flipped in. So I don't know how many of you have been using this turmeric with the time release capsules, but there's so much interesting science that's gone behind this. It's really really clever to me. So we've known about the secret ingredient of curcumin or however you want to say it, but curcumin is how I say it. So anyway, we've known about this for centuries, actually, that turmeric has been doing great things for people in India. They put it in all their feel-good food, and they do really feel good because it does do something to change how our moods are, and to keep us more healthy. And there have been just thousands of studies at this point that have been done on turmeric. And now we're finding out that, you know, of course, the efficacy, the purity of it's going to make a difference. But if you're going to use, this is just over the table. I use this all the time in cooking. Obviously, it's only half full, but this is just your regular turmeric and it's going to be good for you. But if you really want the benefit, take it to the next level and get a very purified kind of root, which is where the turmeric is in the curcumin. Okay, so we're talking about two separate things here that are actually like stacked, right? They're within the same plant, and I hope you all understand that. And so when we're talking about turmeric oil, which you can get, it's going to be different than the curcumin, which is going to be it's going to be in not an oil form, but in the root form. Okay, so it's going to be powdered form. And that is it's water, it's oil soluble. So it's actually great to take it in an oil with an oil. It actually activates it. So curcumin and turmeric, it's in this whole thing together. If you read the active ingredients on the other side, it kind of makes you mixed up. But you've got these two active ingredients, bam, together, and they're actually from the same plant, right? So if you read online, you can read that if you put these two together, which is just the curcumin turmeric, right? And you put it together with black pepper, that it's 2,000 times more effective to take care of some of the problems like high cholesterol in the body, which is super interesting. But it also can become toxic in the now incredibly capable formula that is here, because this is made to work as an oil form, right? Because it has the oil with it. Does that make sense? So now you have the oil in this form. It's a time release capsule. So you're not going to really be able to see it, but I'm going to try to hold it up by can you see that at all? Maybe not. Can you see there's a little goldish part on the bottom and then there's something in the middle? Well, this is the curcumin part, right? And this is the turmeric oil and some other oils in it. So that the oil will actually help activate the curcumin in the body, and it'll come out at great timing in the body so you don't lose the efficacy. Okay, so it's a time to release to actually work in the body to be the most effective, to do what I was just saying that you can do with the black pepper. Now, some sources say you can still use the black pepper. The doTERRA sources say use this, okay, and don't worry about the black pepper, because you can actually overdo it. You can actually create kind of toxic results if you are using these together on a continual basis, because it'll make it too much punch, and it also stops the release of one of the active ingredients in the curcumin. So that is a lot to say about this. Is really powerful stuff. This is super powerful. And if you don't have that available to you where you live in the country you're at, then go for the turmeric oil, which it will be available, and get some curcumin and then you can add the black pepper. So we've got 2 ways to make it effective, right? Okay, let's go to the next. How important is curcumin in your daily activities? Well, let's just talk about it. Okay, so there's the drawback we talked about. Black pepper helps you so that you can absorb it into the bloodstream, but in this form, it's available. It's bioavailable right now. Okay, next. So it'll help you dramatically reduce the toxins in your body because of the antioxidant capacity. Next. It also boosts your brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Okay, it helps improve brain function and lowers the risk of brain disease. These are all studies shown. Next. It should lower your risk of heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the world. Inflammation is the #1 problem that we have. They come hand in hand. So what does this do, curcumin? It stops a lot of your problems. It actually, I think I spelled that right. Curcumin. It'll actually lower your inflammation. Awesome, isn't it? So we have this wonderful benefit, right, when it comes to heart disease, to improve the function of the endothelium, which is the lining of your blood vessels. So you want to improve the function so that your body continues to work well. Okay, so this at the bottom of this study, if you can read it online, it's that in a study randomly assigned 121 people who were undergoing coronary bypass, artery bypass surgery, either a placebo, 4 grams of curcumin per day, or a few days before the surgery, the curcumin group had a 65%, that's high, decreased risk of experiencing a heart attack in the hospital. That's big. That's big news.
That's really
and that's why people are really into this idea that if I take this curcumin, I'm going to have increased capability or less risk of heart disease or heart attacks. Another thing it does is it can cross the blood-brain barrier and help with things like Alzheimer's. So we can also do wonderful things because it improves the pathological process. So it'll help reduce the inflammation in the brain. It helps to encourage good brain cellular activity. Also, things that help are playing memory games, using calming practices like the things we just told you about the trauma release, lessening sugar intake, being in regular healthy relationships. Even changing your car route to work can help improve your memory and lessen its loss. Simple things like that. See if you can find something different. Maybe there's a mountain you've never seen before sitting right in front of you. It's kind of funny what we don't see that's right in front of our faces, but it helps improve our memory. Okay, next. Okay, here we are. Here's our favorite, and once again, turmeric and the secret ingredient there. Okay, so arthritis patients respond very well to curcumin support. Now, why? Because it helps reduce inflammation significantly. So much so that some patients in studies have found that curcumin was more effective than anti-inflammatory drugs. Okay, so these are all from studies. I didn't make this up. I couldn't make this up. It's pretty amazing. Next. And also depression. It's pretty cool. So, you know, when we were talking about trauma, and trauma also ignites depression in people. So here's a small study, but there are many studies done by this one that show that curcumin was as effective as Prozac in alleviating depression. What? Okay. So remember that it calms. Remember, it has this calming effect on the body, and it also reduces inflammation, and that's the stressor, right? So if you have all these things that are being reduced and you're more calm, then you also have the chance that your body's going to have a mood enhancement. And due to the many positive effects, you might live longer. You might find that you're definitely gonna find you have a happier life, and you may live longer. What? That's awesome, isn't it? Because we get rid of some of the chronic effects of longevity, which often includes inflammation
and the effects of trauma
and depression. A lot of, we're all stuck in this loneliness hotels right now. And if we can find something to help, kind of alleviate that and pull up its own blinds in our house so we get a little bit more sunshine, why not? I mean, there's a little gold for you, a little sunshine. So sleep. All right. So sleep is one of the most important factors, and a lot of times we can't get the sleep. So if you don't already have a sleep routine that's working for you, consider reducing the inflammation in your body and the stress in your body. And you will also turn back the aging clock in yourself. And you're going to have this wonderful experience of good night's sleep. What's the problem with that? Nothing. So you can diffuse turmeric oil. You can't really diffuse this, right? But you can diffuse it, and you can put it with tangerine oil, which is super good for the liver and your other important organs. Or you can do wild orange oil, which is often used to, put a smile on your face and help. It's a mood enhancement oil. And you can choose your own favorite group of oil to stick with it to increase a good night's rest. Now that's a lot and a mouthful and a lot of things to do. So you can have PTSD, PTCD, or PCD, right? So you can have peaceful turmeric curcumin delivery in a bottle, or you can have post-traumatic COVID drama. So you can decide which you think is going to be the most effective in your life. For me, it's definitely this. I have been using this. Actually, I stopped using it for a while because I had some other things that were effective, but I'm like, oh, you know what? I really need to watch that cholesterol. I've been kind of like getting into too much of the foods that I probably aren't the greatest for me. And I know it's not helpful for my cholesterol levels. And also maybe I'm sitting around not as more than I should be. So this has really been helpful. And I feel really good, actually. And it really has helped. I can tell that it's helping with as an anti-inflammatory for me, which is fantastic. I love that.
This is a good way for me to remember it, because I'm the guy who's like, okay, I love that information when I hear about, especially about oils and that kind of thing, and then a day or two later, I'm just like, let's see, what did Cynthia say? What was that oil that I was supposed to be using? So now I'll be able to remember turmeric and curcumin, and yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. So we hope that you will have a good night's sleep tonight, and that you'll have a great week, and that you'll be able to get out of some of the drama that this trauma has created for many of us, most of us, and move into a more peaceful living and more peaceful year. And see you next week.
Hey, thank you, everybody.